Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Better Late Than Never, continuing the Matrix series with 2003's Matrix Reloaded. As with the first movies, I'd never seen this before. I literally watched it while I was waiting for my video on Original Recipe Matrix to be uploaded. Or should I say, reloaded. I'll link it below if you want to watch it. Wow, this film. Jeez. I don't think I've ever been more exhausted in my life. I said in my last video that I already knew there would be some heavy-handed philosophy, but nothing could have prepared me for the sheer volume of mind-numbing pontification that was thrown my way for 2 hours. Jesus. But first, let me catch you up to speed. The team is back, baby. Give or tank an operator. See what I did there? And they're better than ever. Neo and Trinity are hooking up constantly. Morpheus is taking the lead in the fight against the machines, and oh, that's literally everyone that survived the first film. Cool. They go back to Zion, an underground city populated by thousands of liberated humans with a fully functioning government. The robots are preparing for an attack on Zion, and while Morpheus believes that they will be protected by the prophecy, his peers are doubtful. Meanwhile, Neo is suffering from a recurring nightmare wherein Trinity is killed by a very slow and laborious atrocity of a CGI fight with an agent. Speaking of agents, Agent Smith is back and free of the rules of the Matrix. He can now possess the bodies of other humans, taking over their consciousnesses outside the Matrix. The team re-enters the Matrix to take Neo to the source so that the prophecy can be fulfilled and the Matrix can be shut down. Matrix, 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 the Matrix, 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 Matrix. To get to the source, they need the Keymaker, and to get to the Keymaker, they need the Merovingian, and to get to the Merovingian, they need an Oracle, and the only way they're going to get to anywhere is through long, arduous existential debates. Oh, seriously, anytime anyone asks somebody about something specific, they receive a vague monologue about control.
Is that your point, Counselor? No. No point.
Old men like me don't bother with making points.
Like I said, it's exhausting. I'm not even gonna try and explain every confusing, contrived, and horny plot point. Let's skip to the end. Neo has made it to the source, where he meets the Architect, who reveals that the prophecy was created by the machines as a system of control. There have, in fact, been 6 The Ones, who have gone on the exact same journey Neo has, always ending in the destruction of the human race. But he's told he can either restart the revolution with 23 other humans, or he can go back into the Matrix to try and save Trinity from his vision, even though he has no chance of saving her. Allegedly. He chooses Trinity and actually manages to stop her death with some chosen one magic and a rehash of the first ending. It's then revealed that Zion has been all but destroyed as their defense was sabotaged by an insurgent possessed by Agent Smith. Then Neo somehow electrocutes some robots in the real world, goes into a coma, and the film ends. So, yeah, that feels like a lot. My biggest problem with this movie is that everything just feels too much. So many initially interesting or engaging scenes just go and go and go until they've spent all of your energy. Take the first rematch between Agent Smith and Neo. When he showed up again, I was excited, because the emotional stakes of this fight would be unique to the rest of the film. This fight was looking pretty good, until the Smith clones showed up. The first dozen or so I was like, okay, but then they kept coming, and Neo just kept beating them senseless, and then they just kept coming and coming and coming, and I was just bored by the end of it. I felt almost desensitized to film in general. Honestly, how is anything supposed to affect me after this film? It also doesn't help that whole sections of this fight are entirely animated and it shows. I'm not gonna hammer on too much about the CGI, there's not much to say other than it really doesn't hold up. Again, people more qualified have been torching the CartoonNetwork.com graphics in this movie since it came out. On the subject of fights, I feel like the rules of power are way less established here than they were in the first movie. In the first film, it was clear that anyone could achieve increased speed, strength, but only the one could really go toe-to-toe with an agent. More so, Neo is shown to take care of Smith almost effortlessly. But here, the agent seemed to be easier to deal with. In the first film, running into an agent was a death sentence for Morpheus, and while he certainly struggles in this film, it seems much easier. What bothers me even more, though, is that Neo's fights with anybody last longer than about 10 seconds. It just feels like there was such a clear power dynamic in the first film, whereas now everyone is just basically the same level. Combined with the bad CGI and the overwhelming length of each fight sequence, there really just isn't too much tension anymore. How are you gonna add ghosts and vampires to a plot and lose my interest this hard? It shouldn't even be possible. I feel like this is all a symptom of adding way too much all at once, both in and out of the Matrix. And remember how in the last video I was all excited about the world outside the Matrix? I take that back. It just feels too much. I liked it better when the resistance felt small and dwindling. Every death felt shattering because it felt like we were losing a fifth of the movement every time somebody died. Now it's just like, whatever. There's 1,000 people, each with their own black shades, hanging out wherever you need them. Did I mention how horny this movie is? Yeah, it's really, really horny. A friend of mine actually mentioned this to me before I watched it, and wow, I was still unprepared. I have a theory. Ready? Big brain theory time. I think the Matrix somehow mistranslated the concept of dance to basically mean sex, so now all humans can't tell the difference between dancing and dry humping.
I remember you used to dance. I remember you were pretty good.
You're gonna look at me and you're gonna tell me that I'm wrong? Am I wrong?
Sorry, I know that's gross, but again, this movie is astoundingly sexed up. It's impossible not to go there. There's even a POV shot between someone's legs while they're having an orgasm from eating cake. Matrix 1 did not set this up in any way, shape, or form. Christ. It's not all bad though. Leslie Freshmarket is still great as Morpheus, though the love triangle really threw me for a loop. I just can't look at him and Henry Lennox and not see a Man of Steel reunion. Neo and Trinity are fine in this movie. I like her a little bit more and I like him a little bit less, so they just don't really stand out. I did care a bit more about their relationship and felt some kind of attachment when she was about to die. My favorite new addition was Link though.
There's my puss. Hey.
I was initially very confused by the removal of Tank. Apparently, actor Marcus Chong got into it with the studio. There's a 45-minute documentary out about it somewhere. Sounds wild. But Link, his brother, is a really fun character. Harold Perrineau and the Wachowskis don't try to replicate Tank or Dozer, instead creating this unique and wholly fleshed out character. The scenes that develop Link's relationship with his wife and family are probably the best parts of the film. And Perrineau's delivery had me unironically laughing out loud multiple times. There's also Kid, who is kind of nothing and seems like a reskin of the sex pest from the first movie. There are some other decent moments visually and emotionally. The architect's wall of possible outcomes was neat. The Merovingian had some good lines before he went full perv.
It's like wiping your ass with silk.
The car chase is fun for the first half hour. And this film does have some compelling things to say about free will, power, control, determinism, and love. But it dissects each idea so much that they just end up mutilated and messy. This film lacks the precision, clarity, and pacing that made the first film so digestible and enjoyable. I feel that often a message or idea is only as valuable as your ability to communicate that idea and help the audience understand it. But what do I know? I'm like 2 decades late to the party on this one. I'm still very interested to see how this all plays out. Tonight, I'm watching the final movie in this trilogy, Matrix Revolutions, and hopefully a video on that will be up tomorrow. I would also like to point out that today is Pride Day, I think, at least in my hometown. And while this wasn't planned, it feels kind of serendipitous that we're currently discussing a trilogy created by 2 trans women. I'm linking below to 2 charities if you'd like to make donations. If you can donate, please consider doing so. But regardless, happy Pride! See you in the next video. Bye!